What's up, fish tank people? Dustin's Fish Tanks bringing it to you on a Greenhouse Saga Sunday. The saga continues. How's everybody doing? I hope you're doing well. In today's video, we're going to talk about my final development meeting with our friends in Jessamine County, and we're also going to talk about a surprise appearance from a lady in the audience. There's always somebody. But first, I'm going to get a little bit woo-woo with y'all. Okay, so I've spoken to multiple people both on the phone and via email that they said they like the affirmations. If you're not familiar with what an affirmation is, it's basically something that you say to yourself every day. It's for your own self. It's for your own personal thing. That helps you live a better life. If you think affirmations are weird or woo-woo, ask some of the most successful people you know or your boss or owners of companies if they have them. I think the answers that they'll give you will surprise you. So here's mine, and I want to give this to you as an overlying context that I use while I'm going through all this stuff that kind of sucks. It starts like this. If I could have any job in the world, what would it be? I have the perfect job for me. So when stuff gets screwed up and stuff sucks, I say, you know what? I have the perfect job for me. This is part of it. This is what I signed up for. Meetings getting delayed. 11 people killing my deal. That's just part of the game. My goal is to help people through my service. I strive to be the best in the world at what I enjoy doing. I say best in the world. I look at the best in all situations. I will not worry about things I cannot control. I can't control those 11 crazy people on Old Richmond Road. I can't control when the documents don't show up and my plans coming from Hong Kong. And I can't control when the meeting in Jessamine County was postponed the day after Memorial Day and postponed until just this past Monday. You can't worry about things you can't control or you'll lose your mind. The next part of my affirmation. I work hard at these things and understand that you can't get what you want in life without paying the price and enduring the suffering to get it. Editing videos every Sunday morning for the past 8 years while my daughter wants to play Legos. Driving to Atlanta only to find out my plants are 2 days late. Spending over a year working on Greenhouse 4.0. Work hard at these things and understand that you can't get what you want without paying the price and enduring the suffering to get it. And here's the one that everybody wants to skip. I will postpone short-term gratification for my long-term life goals. Setting up something big with the greenhouse is going to take some time. It's going to take some sweat. It's going to take some hustle. And with that as a backdrop, I want to break it to you guys on how it went down at the final development meeting. Okay, I'm going to stick with the woo-woo stuff real quick, but it does totally relate to what I'm talking about with the greenhouse. I want to talk about vision. Been listening to a lot of Arnold Schwarzenegger when he talks about his vision when he was Conan the Barbarian, and he talks about how he wanted to envision himself as the world champion, or he was Mr. Universe for 13 years in a row. Arnold Schwarzenegger was Mr. Universe. And he said every time he was lifting a weight, he was smiling.
I smile because I know exactly that every rep that I do, that every set that I do, every weight that I lift, I get one step closer to turning that vision of mine into reality and becoming that Mr. Universe.
He was 13 years in a row the best bodybuilder in the world. I'm giving you that as a rant. I want to talk about my vision. My vision with Greenhouse 4.0 was very clear. And in fact, if my wife, kids, family, and any of you knew how many times I drove out to that place by myself and walked around, you would cry. Because I had to have a crystal clear vision. I showed you guys how I was going to move in. I had plans for expansion of another building off the side of once I filled that one up, okay? The vision was that crystal clear and I had to reset it. Now, you can see around here what the vision looks like today. So I had to regroup and get my vision clear on what I have. Here is what the vision looks like today. All right, so when I moved from Greenhouse 4.0 to Greenhouse 2.0, I got to redesign my entire vision and get it set up exactly the way I wanted it. Everything was going according to plan and I was all excited. The fish tank gods were in line with me. But when my meeting on May 29th was canceled, I was pissed, even though it was something I can't control because my vision is clear. I know exactly what I want, and this was like the one step that I wanted to get to complete that vision. So I got delayed for 30 days, and yes, I did worry about something that I could not control. Fast forward, you got to take that 30 days and you got to regroup your plan. I always tell Josh and Andrew, for every hour we spend planning, we save 4 hours. I'm going to quote Abraham Lincoln here for a minute when he said, if you gave me 6 hours to chop down a cherry tree, I would use the first 4 hours sharpening my axe. So actually the 30 days gave me time to sharpen up the plan. Now, the meeting is set. I have hired engineers to do this. A wise man knows he is not wise. I do not know the first freaking thing about engineering, but I have friends around me who are wise, who I trust with this kind of stuff, and they've told me, yes, use this engineer. I've got a plot plan, and I've got engineers working with the city of Nicholasville behind the scenes to make sure everything is working. Look, I paid these guys good money, but quite frankly, paying professionals to do what professionals do in the city that they're, you know, the guys, was a good move. So on Monday, we queue up Andrew. Josh wanted to come too, but he was busy putting out a bunch of packages. And we roll to Jessamine County to go to my final development meeting. This is where it all happens, folks. So this is the on the way to the Jessamine County final development meeting. We were delayed last month. Got my man Andrew ahead of me here. And the new property is actually over here by that water tower. And we're gonna find out tonight. We get the final development. That means we can start construction. Last time I went into one of these meetings, I got my throat slit, so I'm a little nervous, but things should be good. This is Josh Banks of Banks Engineering. He's actually presenting for 5 different companies at this meeting with the city of Nicholasville. And then what he is doing here is he is addressing the concerns that the city had that needed to be addressed publicly about this. This was submitted almost 2 months ago, and he's actually talking here about where the water runoff is going to be, and I mentioned this later. So he's actually talking about the drainage, which is going to be a concern with all the water I'm doing.
Is this greenhouse, is it glass or plastic?
8mm polycarbonate panels. Come on.
Nah, I get to take the stage.
How's it going? My name is Dustin Wonderlick. The greenhouse is going to be a polycarbonate structure. It will look like.
And that's the style I'm going for with the atrium roof too. Open up to the full sun.
Very similar to the one at Kingsway. Kind of like the ones they use at Myers and Lowe's. It's that plastic that can, you know, take a hail beating or whatever. Galvanized steel, engineered plans, and concrete piers.
I would like to bring up one thing. Bobby and I met about this, I would say about a month ago, under the B1 zone. It will refer you to the DB, Downtown Business District.
This is the guy, Dean, who's one of the head guys in the city of Nicholasville, who I had spoken with, and he's addressing here what I originally had a concern about with the city of Nicholasville and having to get a conditional use. You remember I had problems with the conditional use, and he's addressing how we have spoken about this and confirming in this meeting that we don't need a conditional use.
Right. I clearly, my opinion is that this ordinance did not anticipate.
And this older gentleman is the attorney of the city of Nicholasville, and he actually didn't like it when Andrew turned the camera on him, but he is talking about there's an old sort of variance, something that he's bringing up here about having agricultural sales in a B1 zone. So they're just flushing it all out.
I certainly think an argument can be made that Mr. Wonderlink's request is to engage in agricultural sales. Anything that grows and is green, I suppose, is an agricultural product.
And I want to make a point here. They're going the long-winded route to have the attorney in the room. But while this seems like it takes a while, this is actually, everybody's on board. Everybody knows what's going on. The attorney in Nicholasville is in the room. They're going through any sort of probable situations, stuff that could happen, and other sort of like laws and rules that are around, just to get everything up on the table before this. You should have seen the meetings before mine. Mine was a cakewalk compared to some of the stuff these people were talking about.
Understood, or Josh, it was only plants for aquariums?
My core business is selling plants that go into aquariums. That doesn't mean that I might not sell like a pothos or like a hanging house plant at some time, but this is all just basically stuff that we sell online on DustinsFishtanks.com. We ship out boxes every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. We have wholesale shipments that come in once or twice a week, but it's primarily aquarium plants that go into fish tanks. And that's an important note on that because anything that we use in that water has fish in it. So there's no concerns of any sort of runoff or anything in the chemicals.
And I'm going on my long-winded rant right there because I want to make sure everybody knows what the runoff is, because it's all about erosion control or what's actually going in to the water runoff. That's always area of concern. I remember old bro back in Greenhouse 4.0 talking about what's in the waters. The water runoff concern was also mentioned as one of the things they wanted to talk about going into this meeting. It was one of the list of line items that they had to discuss. So I just wanted to hammer home that everything that I'm releasing when we do water changes is completely safe for the environment.
It'll be 10 foot high, sidewalls, 19 at the peak. So I can't sell massive plants out of it.
If this became like if this got approved and he started selling flowers and vegetable plant, tomato plants or whatever.
I clearly think, first off, I think he would be exceeding.
And while this drove me nuts while I was in the meeting, this guy talking about what ifs or whatever, I love that all of this is being put onto the table here, and everybody who is voting on this is hearing the worst case scenario or what ifs and all that. Getting that all flushed out is actually doing my heart good here, even though it's kind of annoying how long it takes.
I can only ponder what would have been within the realm of their contemplation 40 years ago. I don't believe this very limited area of internet primarily sales would have been so covered.
So you're saying that this use is not your typical retail, you want retail?
And I love having this young guy involved too, by the way.
And refresh my memory, didn't we address something on the Board of Adjustment?
We did. He
Was
came
that
before the board.
To say that was a permitted use?
Okay, so those two just confirmed when I went to a Board of Adjustments meeting where everybody said that I would not need a conditional use for this. So my guy over there is verifying with Dean that they had discussed about this, that I do not need a conditional use. In the words of the Wu-Tang Clan, protect your neck. I did get that in writing, so I do have that document. I didn't bring it with me to this meeting, but I definitely have that document in writing that I do not need a conditional use for this, just as a precautionary measure for what they're talking about and then about to vote on here in a second.
Tobacco plants or flowers or, trees.
More retail.
You change the nature of the business.
Like change the nature of the business.
You would have to come before the board again and get an approval to do that.
All right, and I'm not trying to be Johnny Anal on this, but I got a deal killed and fed Nam, so I'm gonna just flush it all out here. So if I'm selling aquarium plants in this location.
He asked me if I understand this. I'm never this anal, but after what we went through on the first round, I'm definitely protecting my neck with this conversation right here.
I need to get a variance for that? Or is it like if I'm gonna get into production such as Red Barn, where I've got rows and rows and rows of daisies, I need a variance for that? I just want to clarify kind of where the line is with this.
The ordinance says establishments primarily engaged in agricultural sales and services.
If you start sowing more ficus trees and plants than aquarium plants, that's when you
that's the way I would look at it.
I got you. My core business is aquarium plants. I don't intend on expanding really beyond that.
I always think expansion.
As long as I stay aquarium plants, and let's say I buy the lot next to me, and I'm still doing aquarium plants, everything is still the same. I want to know more about this variance from 1982 or whatever, or not a variance. What's the little hanger 4-year-old
No,
thing?
we're talking about the intent of the ordinance, which was written in 1980.
The ordinance is old? All right. Confirming I'm allowed to have retail sales at this location.
Yes, I'm trying to confirm that y'all can come and say hello to Dusty at the new location here. This was something that I was not going to be allowed to do at Greenhouse 4.0, so just double checking. Everyone's here. All the cards are on the table. I like this kind of meeting.
You're all good? Anybody else in the audience have any questions or concerns?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. Right in that
says,
area,
I do.
wasn't there a
Here's where I
subdivision
crap
group
myself.
back around to that
Here comes the
area
lady.
around 2010,
This is the
2009?
subdivision that this would be in, ma'am.
It would be in that subdivision?
This is
commercial.
It's a commercial subdivision. It's not residential.
I wish Andrew would have zoomed in and seen the armpit just sweating, just
So like say,
puffing sweat out while she's
probably
talking, nervous,
that's
scared.
a commercial subdivision?
worrying about things I can't control.
Like back in 2009 for like 109 lots.
Yeah, that's kind of a different area, that's more south.
It's more this way?
South, yes.
Okay, that's what I want to make sure of. So will this affect, like say with the Robbins-Ferry expansion is to all we own on that land? Wasn't there going to be the widening of the road there at Garden
The
Grove?
bypass.
Yeah.
Yes, the access, that's
Yeah.
gonna change.
That will happen close to this lot, but it won't affect the lot.
It won't affect that lot? Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Then I confirmed all my neighbors I'm here to represent. Fine.
Now, she chuckles at the end of that, and I smiled when she was done, but boy was I nervous when she opened her mouth, let me tell you.
No other questions or concerns, I'd entertain a motion, please.
I look around the room, I make sure nobody else has any concerns. There were some people in the room that I didn't know what they were for, and I was concerned that they were about to raise their hands, but none of them said anything. They were there for other properties.
For approximately 0.67 acres of property located on lot number 3, PDA parcel number 057.
All in favor?
Because he was taken away from the hospital.
Thank you all.
Yes.
Boom! Like that, smooth!
My name is Judy Allen.
What's up, Judy? I'm Dustin.
And
Nice
this
to meet
and the
you.
savages on all the property around right here.
All right.
This right here, this is where you're going to be. He's saying.
Yeah, I bought this property right here next to the water tower right here.
Right to the water tower.
Right there. Yeah.
Okay.
So what's
Now this right here is the bypass that's going through Jessamine County right here.
this is proposed?
I'm gonna quote Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich right here. It's real simple. For every seed of adversity, for every bit of failure, it plants the seed of equivalent or greater benefit. When I bought this property, I did not know that there was a bypass going in right nearby, a little cherry on top for Dusty's deal.
Well,
I feel bad for her, by the way, because she's being negatively affected by this, but for me, it's dope.
It'll go. It's just vacant farmland, and it's gonna take off through this farmland.
I'd like to retract my tone in the word lady with her because she was actually extremely sweet and delivered good news, okay? So any of the bad juju associated with the term lady, I'd like to retract from earlier part of this video.
So I saw you and you asked me what I was doing. I was like, oh, no, that's the one.
No.
I know, but I was like, oh man. So
It's approved, dude. This is like actually almost better news than the you know. I didn't want to say it in front of her, but that's pretty tight.
Yeah.
Like
That's
that's going right to 75. So now it's approved, dude. So now it's game time. Contractors, cutting ground, getting on it. My engineer, the dude from Banks, was like, you got it, dude. Like he was trying to get me to chill out. I just wanted to confirm all that stuff. So final development's approved. Now it's time to break some ground. First things first, we got to figure out where the water lines are and how we're going to tap into those suckers. I'm thinking a 2-inch main, even though it's going to cost me about $4 grand. Super stoked. These guys out here are checking out where the water lines run. Do me a favor, folks, hit the like button, subscribe button, and share button, and drop me a comment on how you feel about how this greenhouse saga is going. Saga continues, folks. Tank on. Later.
Circles. Put your meter anywhere in your property line through here.
All right. So that's talking to my plumber about doing a 2-inch main. And you're the subject matter expert on that, so I'm going to ask you. Am I crazy for getting that big of a main?
2-inch main would service a hotel, a 100-room hotel.
Now, whether I want to cough up to $4 grand for the 2-inch main is a different story. But, all right. Cool. I'm glad I ran